This video is to discuss graphing horizontal and vertical lines. So let's look at graph y equals 3. Now, again, in the past, we've tried lots of different ways to graph, but obviously this is something special with this particular equation because normally we have an equation in two variables, y and x, or x and y. But this one, we're obviously missing x here. So let's kind of relate this back to y equals mx plus b. In this case, we only have b. Okay, so notice that we are missing our slope here. We're missing the x term. So what does this mean with a graph? Well, clearly that means that our y-intercept is 0, 3. Our y-intercept is 0, 3. So we got that. 0, 3 is here. But a line cannot be formed by one point. So what does this mean for the rest? That means that our slope is 0. That means that we are not doing rise over run because our rise, we're not rising any. But could we run? We can. And I want to show you a different way to think of this, okay? Because when you go and graph this in the computer, you cannot just plot this one point and think that it's going to graph it. It won't. It has to have 2 points. So here's how you find another point. Create an XY chart. And just like we talked about with the XY chart, you get to pick whatever you want for X. Well, I can already tell you if you pick 0, then you're going to get 3 out. Okay, and again, you're using this equation, but it's kind of weird because you're not plugging anything in because you don't even have an x to plug into. Basically, you get to pick whatever you want to for x, and no matter what, the y value is 3, always. So I could pick 0 and the y value is going to be 3. I could pick 1 and the y value is still going to be 3. So, but by doing this, I'm able to get 2 points that I can graph. So I've already graphed 0, 3. Let's graph 1, 3. And then obviously you can see that this is creating a line that goes across like that. Now, what kind of line is this? This is a horizontal line. This is horizontal. The sun sets on the horizon. Okay, so the one straight across is going to be horizontal. Now, what is the slope? I've kind of already talked about this. There is not a term here. The only way to get it to where you do not have the x term is when your m is 0, because 0x is just 0. That means you don't have that term. So the slope of a horizontal line is 0. And think about it. You're not going uphill or downhill. It's flat. Okay, so you're not rising any, or you're not going up or down. So because it's flat, that's our 0. Now, how do we do this with B part? So B part, instead of it's y equal, this is x equal. And this gets a little trickier. Okay, because if I have the y equals mx plus b, I'm missing the y. So that gets weird. So here's what you can do is you can go ahead and create an XY chart. But this one's a little different because this is saying no matter what, x is always a -2. So that means if I pick, if I have 2 points, no matter what, those x values are -2. And in this case only, you get to actually pick the y values here because no matter what y value you have, x is -2. So I'm just going to randomly pick 2 y values. Let's say 1 and 2 in this case. And this is going to give us 2 points to plot. Let's plot these 2 points. -2, 1. -2, 1 is here. And then -2, 2 would be here. Okay, and then that is going to give us what type of line? A vertical. This is a vertical line. Okay, now I want to think about the slope real quick. So if I was using rise over run, if I start at the bottom, my rise would be 1. Okay, that allows me to go from one point to the next. That's 1. Over, but I'm already at the point, so I'm not going to run any. So that means I'm putting 0 at the denominator. And one thing about math, and you may remember this, is that when you divide by 0, that is really bad, and that is not allowed in math. This is actually undefined. Undefined. Okay, so the slope of this, technically we would say undefined, but for the computer, what you're going to put in is DNE. Does not exist because this is undefined. So again, I kind of think about slope, and especially this may help you in this concept. I want you to think about walking on this. Okay, if it was flat straight across, that's like the floor. You can walk on that, but there's no slope. You're not going up and down. So you're going 0 slope. But a vertical line is like walking on the wall. It is impossible. Okay, so that is it does not exist. You're not going to be able to do that. And so that's why it's undefined. That's why we're writing D and E.